Remember during the WNBA season, oh my gosh, all the ratings, the record ratings, blah, 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 blah. But what did we say continuously here on this channel? Yeah, record ratings. Of course you guys are gonna have record ratings. Nielsen changed how they count numbers. Of course their ratings are going to be more. It would be kind of embarrassing if they were that much less. Well, Sustainable Unrivaled, their numbers came out and they are.
Imagine this situation continuing over several months. Everything appeared to be perfect until all of a sudden the data began acting strangely. At that very moment, the applause intensified. The criteria became more accommodating, and a whole new method of monitoring accomplishments emerged. Additionally, everyone is acting as though there is no awkward quiet at the moment. This is what ought to cause you to reconsider. What is it actually hoping you won't figure out when an organization has to rethink how it counts its own successes?
Could be seeing its final days as Paige Beckers and gang could not save the viewership from tanking. What does this mean for the WNBA when they make their return back to TV? We finna talk about it all. I told you guys a couple months ago that the views was going down on the channel. Like, the WNBA content wasn't looking too good. I was one of the first people to say that about the whole genre itself. Told y'all we was gonna be making big time changes on the channel. Now I say that to say this. Now, there has been news to come out about Unrivaled viewership been down nearly 7.
Everyone insisted that Unrivaled had enduring power. This brilliant illustration of the potential of women's basketball. While Sportsman ruled those immaculate wooden floors, an operation that would defy all trends, grow its audience, and somehow continue to persuade financiers to sign those million-dollar checks.
They say. Unrivaled is sustainable. They say. They say. Ratings have come out for Unrivaled, and folks, if I was to say fall off a cliff, if I was to say significant drop off, I would be underselling how underperforming.
Everyone insisted that Unrivaled had enduring power. This brilliant illustration of the potential of women's basketball. While Sportsman ruled those immaculate wooden floors, an operation that would defy all trends, grow its audience, and somehow continue to persuade financiers to sign those million-dollar checks.
So the first set of Unrivaled ratings are in, and it's been kind of grim. And by kind of grim, I mean really, really grim. If you are Unrivaled, this is, if these are your ratings every single week on True TV, it's not the biggest disaster in the world, because by the looks of things, these True TV ratings were similar enough to what they were a year ago. Similar enough to what they...
The viewing figures declined, and characterizing it as unimpressive would be like to characterizing a huge cyclone as having a little wind. These numbers didn't simply drop. After crashing hard, going into freefall, and smashing through the floor, they requested for permission before settling into the trash pile of misguided good intentions.
Hella views to begin with. They wasn't even getting hella views at all last year. Now this year their views is down by nearly 70%. This is very bad. Now towards the decline of the WNBA season, towards the end of the season, we start seeing the WNBA kind of fudge the numbers, taking into account group party watch, well basically watch party viewerships, counting those into, you know, effect like bars.
For those who missed the previous events, allow me to paint the picture. The inaugural season got off to a strong start. Amazing numbers of views. Fans are going crazy. Women's basketball has officially become permanent, unstoppable, and growing, according to experts. And everything that was ahead appeared more brilliant than those dazzling spotlights in the arena. However, there was a small problem. Those amazing ratings were eerily flawless. Nielsen had changed the way they tracked. A shift that, for some reason, improved numbers everywhere you looked. Suddenly, everything seemed bigger, more powerful, and more cherished than it actually was. Consider it similar to purchasing shoes that are excessively large and persuading everyone that they were especially for you. They may seem fantastic, but when you try to walk, they are ineffective. Let's go on to the second season. That's right. Momentum is essentially just a beautiful way of stating you got a lucky break a year ago, as evidenced by the nearly 140,000 fewer individuals who decided to watch professional basketball on Monday night. With 107,000 viewers, daytime matchups fared even worse, which subtly implies that someone neglected to notify the public that these competitions were actually happening. And that's exactly what happened. Many supporters were unaware Unrivaled had even come back. The world's top talented athletes could play in any league, but none of that skill matters when no one is aware that the action is taking place.
Interest in pretend basketball. I have been telling you guys for years, as the mainstream media has intentionally lied to us. These elite athletes are amazing! This is the best basketball in the world! Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes! We have been talking about this here on the channel for years. The so-called growth in women's basketball is an illusion.
Examining certain head-to-head competitions makes the thorough analysis much more severe. 40,000 people saw Breeze Phantom on TNT. In the meantime, the Lunar Owls received 20,000 on True TV and 30,000 on TNT. When combined, a single matchup in that critical 18 to 49 age bracket hardly surpassed 50,000. Comparable competitions from the previous season reached between 90,000 and 100,000 viewers on TNT alone before being multiplied across all networks. What appeared to be an unstoppable movement turned into a cautionary tale about how quickly excitement fades when reality sets in within a year. Networks attempting to get lucrative contracts or increase their spending on marketing and promotional spreadsheets that read like depressing social media messages are currently being examined by initiatives. Overall viewership is well below projections, afternoon audiences hardly register, and peak viewing hours are shrinking.
That the Rose and Lunar Owls on the primetime slot on TNT had... I don't think this is 40,000 viewers, because I think this is the NA is the actual viewer. I think this is like the ratings numbers. I think this is in and around 100,000 viewers, which isn't good. Last year it was... Am I right in saying last year? Was last year at 1.0? No, last year was 0.1.
The truth is as painful as witnessing someone collapse in front of the camera during a live broadcast. Let's get back to reality. Let's return to the laws of physics. Going back to the fundamental realization that no amount of sustainable marketing will conceal the audience's disappearance. Publicity, or the lack thereof, is largely to blame for this catastrophe. Excitement on social media, strategic marketing strategies, and the belief that this was a must-watch season all contributed to the first season's success. However, the second season arrived with all the pomp of a thunderstorm. There was no significant reminder, information, or encouragement given to supporters. You could present the argument that the league's leadership totally neglected to inform their own viewers that anything was taking place. To make problems worse, the rating process was meant to help. Before the end of 2025, Nielsen will switch to a comprehensive data plus panel system, combining conventional tracking with streaming data from other sources, linked televisions, and essentially any other information stream accessible for the majority of sporting games. This method inflates statistics, turns underwhelming shows into seemingly huge hits, and gives networks the kind of information that makes advertisers very happy. The initial unparalleled results indicated that this would be beneficial.
Numbers are not good for season 2, that is, which is certainly no cause for celebration, but is cause for concern. When I say the first part, it's because I guarantee you there are going to be a lot of people racing to like rub it in and do like a and I'm rooting for Unrivaled success. I like the idea, the concept, the mission statement, and all of those things, but you also have to deal with the...
However, even with this impending boost, Unrivaled's audience numbers hardly showed any movement, and neither tracking panels nor connected television's extensive data could save a league that has virtually lost the viewership it said was the cornerstone of its sustainability claims. The contradiction is flawless. This league was founded as innovative, forward-thinking, and long-lasting. Even yet, it struggles to keep fans interested in its biggest contests. The data, which are brutally honest, paint a picture of overconfidence, poorly managed prolong, and a fan audience that either lost interest or was unaware that there was a follow-up season to watch. Financial backers, the vital network of support for any developing league, are undoubtedly doubting their dedication. These athletes are gifted, competent, and ferocious rivals. However, creating captivating sports entertainment requires more than simply skill. Marketing, audience participation, and presentation are all necessary for success. The league becomes an exceptional display of athleticism with viewership that wouldn't even fill a tiny portion of seats when supporters don't show up in significant numbers. It's similar like putting together an amazing feast for a restaurant that is absolutely empty. Great food and a completely sustainable company model. Of course, not when no one is placing an order.
And I put this out on the Twitter, and I mean, hell, the tweet didn't even get that much interaction. Look, the Unrivaled League is in all kinds of damn trouble. They're in all kinds of trouble. Don't you find it odd that the league...
The obvious questions can no longer be disregarded. The severity of the situation is demonstrated by other comparisons. Opening night statistics for Unrivaled's first year exceeded 300,000 viewers. Prime time brings in 75,000 this season. 107,000 are managed during afternoon time slots. That decline is not gradual. It is enormous. Previously tuned-in supporters have vanished. Many were unaware that the season had resumed. The narrative of a long-term, growing league starts to resemble fiction written for press releases. Record-breaking ratings are not necessary for any league to thrive, but it is hard to do so without acknowledgement, involvement, or the feeling that its events truly matter to raise public awareness in general. The true issue is that Unrivaled is still performing poorly despite the use of the most cutting-edge tracking technology available. A league that has lost viewers cannot be miraculously saved by Nielsen's extensive data plus panel methods, the same system that will increase ratings for almost every major sport. With one side significantly outnumbered, this turns into a mathematical problem. Theoretical supporters versus those who truly pay attention. Big data, smart TVs, and algorithms can be used to overcome this obstacle. However, the numbers remain negative when no one presses play.
It's easy to show growth when you're growing from nothing to almost nothing. But people were not watching women's basketball. People were not paying $10 to be sedated while the Chicago Bravado airballed layups against the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces. Contrary to the prevailing narrative in the mainstream media, Angel Reese is not a draw. AJ Wilson.
Investors and league leadership will suffer greatly as a result of this circumstance. Strength in negotiations vanishes. Significant changes must be made to strategic planning, and all presumptions of consistent viewing must be thoroughly reevaluated. It is impossible to create momentum. An audience that remains aware and actively involved cannot be replaced by publicity alone, and excitement cannot be created instantaneously. Amazing talent, athletic prowess, and exciting competitions might make for an unparalleled second season. However, the harsh reality is still that talent alone is insufficient for leagues to succeed. People packing venues, viewers monitoring screens, and social media activity that sustains conversations long after the broadcast are all necessary for success. Within the conclusion, the story of the unparalleled second season serves as a cautionary tale about marketing, presumptions, and the difference between a successful launch and long-term success. Even the most advanced tracking technologies are unable to generate an audience that isn't watching, as seen by the decline in viewership and the halt in momentum. Supporters are crucial. Acknowledgement is essential, and sustainability must eventually be a quantifiable result rather than merely a marketing pledge. Unrivaled may carry on, but its claim to be a long-lasting, self-sufficient league is seriously questioned. This league runs the risk of being known more for unfulfilled expectations than for exceptional basketball if major reforms are not made.
Unrivaled ratings are in to begin season 2, and they're not great. To be honest, what should have been kind of expected. This is the second season. You're probably going to peak at the first time you come out, which last year I believe they were in the 300s, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to pull up the numbers in just a second. The Athletics' Ben Pickman put them out. Saw people talking about the key demo rating as well. That was like kind of some misinformation from folks that don't know how.
What caused fans to disappear is still a major topic. Was this due to a lack of interest, inadequate promotion, or the rapid fading of sports excitement? Is it possible for leadership to find ways to win back viewers before the failure narrative takes hold? It will take time to see if Unrivaled can stop this trend or if the sustainability promise was always just a catchphrase with no real substance. As of right now, the numbers speak louder than any assurances. And those figures tell a tale of decline, disillusionment, and a league struggling to live up to its own standards. Unrivaled can claim to be sustainable all at once, but a league without its fans is like a car without gas. It could seem fashionable. It could consist having all the high-end features, but it becomes impossible to continue further. In sports entertainment, appearances often matter more than underlying facts, so don't ignore the visual impact either. World-class athletes, sold-out arenas, and edge-of-your-seat situations are all possible. However, popular opinion instantly shifts when official statistics present an inconsistent picture. The second season is an unparalleled example of how quickly hype may fade. You are hailed as the future of women's professional basketball at one point. Your primetime viewership hardly fills a coffee shop the next moment. That cannot be sustained. You need protective glasses just to look at the day, since that alert signal is flashing so fiercely.
I believe part of the reason is, hey, Project B has put the writing on the wall for Unrivaled. All right? It's no way around it. There's two things at work here. Number one, there's going to be a sale of Warner Brothers Discovery to somebody, whether it's Netflix or whether it's Paramount. And we've already found out, well, part of that, most likely, will be that the one place...
It is impossible to overstate the difficulties, or lack thereof, in promoting unmatched competitions. Because everyone was aware of its existence, the first season was successful. Every shot, slam dunk, and last-second goal was magnified on social media, and even infrequent spectators were intrigued enough to watch it. The entire narrative is undermined by the ridiculousness of technology. Nielsen's move toward comprehensive data and panel ratings was intended to save leagues by offering a more thorough viewing study that would increase numbers in almost every other sport. This results in jubilant headlines about previously unheard-of viewership records. Thursday Night Football is exaggerated. Events at prime time are exaggerated. Unrivaled hardly made an impression shift. The viewing audience is a crucial factor that affects sponsorship contracts, advertising revenue, and future broadcasting agreements. A decline in viewership from almost 300,000 to 175,000 is more than just a figure. It suggests that this league may need to adjust its strategy, lower expectations, or prepare for a more challenging financial scenario than anyone had anticipated. The phrase, sustainable league, is starting to seem less like real, provable success and more like courteous wishful dreaming. It's also important to think about what this means for fans who did pay attention.
Television numbers are not one-to-one with revenue. Rights deals get signed, agreements get signed, money that comes in, ad dollars can all be, independent specifically of the ratings, but the ratings tend to influence the media rights deal and the overall numbers that come in and what advertisers are expecting. So of course, that's why they often become a story. And in this case, you're in the second season of Unrivaled, so you're curious.
Coming in, elite athletes, intriguing matches, and fierce action may be present in the second season, but there's a strange hollowness to watching with dispersed audiences or having your favorite game forced into an uninteresting broadcast time slot. When viewership has drastically decreased, the excitement that propels live sports, expert analysis, fan reactions, and social debate simply cannot exist. When the shared experience disappears, the drama of competition loses half of its impact, leaving the league with merely athleticism and strategies but little of the energy that engages fans on an emotional level. In the end, this is a warning on several levels. Sustainability is not guaranteed by athletic prowess. Excitement is only temporary. Supporters may come back. If successful tactics are implemented, leadership may change and future games may see an increase in viewership. However, the message is clear at the moment. Declaring sustainability is possible. You can showcase talent and run as much advertising as you can, but it won't matter if the audience doesn't show up. As the ultimate arbiter, viewership figures have ruled against the league in Season 2, suggesting that Unrivaled would have a difficult time fulfilling its own pledge.